Yo, welcome back to E-Lab. I'm your host, EJ Civils. I wanted to change the name, and it was Elaborate. I kind of got stuck on E-Lab now. I think I like E-Lab because, first off, my name starts with E, and Lab, I think Lab kind of fits the mold. You know, when guys want to get better at basketball, they get in the lab. So I think I'm going to change the name to E-Lab as soon as my sister gives me the logo. So I need to get my logo updated, and we're going to go with E-Lab, man. But welcome back, episode 2, man. I think that we are today I would like to discuss some of the NBA power rankings. I want to talk about some of the teams before the upcoming season starts. I think preseason starts October the 7th, and then regular season is like the 22nd. So I wanted to give some of my opinions on some of the top 10, maybe the top 12 teams that I think are slated to have at least start off the year on a high. So I would like to discuss that today. Today we're going to talk about that, NBA power rankings, and then I wanted to talk about the again, you know, I like to get all those old conversations out of the way, those standard conversations. So I wanted to talk about that 90s physicality era versus today's era, and lump that together with the greatest era in basketball, in my opinion. You know, so those look to be my topics today. The question I want to pose for you guys right now is a basketball question. First thing I want to say is, who you think who's better all time, Deron Williams or Baron Davis? Deron Williams or Baron Davis? Who you guys have as a better? You answer how you want to. Better scorer, better point guard, or better player all time, whichever way. You know, let me know down in the comments on that one. So before we start, I wanted to take a little trip down memory lane. I want you guys to get to know EJ as the Hooper, right? EJ as the Hooper, because a lot of guys that I know today, you know, still talk about how good they used to be and how good what they did back in high school. And listen, I still hoop, man. Listen, Charles, I don't know a Charles, but Charles, you're 35, Charles. You're 30. It's time to hang up this ideology of, you know, when you were 17. It was 18 years ago. OK, I still hoop, and I will dunk on your pops or you, whichever way you want to go, man, whichever way you want to go. So I wanted to talk about some of the guys that the reason why I actually love the YouTube basketball channels, The Ball is Life, the Next Chapter, and the Dev and the Labs. Those guys is because back when we were coming up, when I went to the University of Kentucky, and I got there the year before John Wall, Eric Bledsoe, and pretty much Calipari. Right before that whole Big Blue Nation surge kind of blew up. I got there in 2008, so I got there the year before, and we tried out. UK has a tryout, but this year, that year when I got there in 2008, the tryout was like half court. They had us running sideways, and it was about 45 minutes. You know, and I come in there. I'm 18. I'm 18 years old, and they had a cameraman recording us at the time, asking us, how do you guys feel? And I remember getting on the camera and I looked around and I said, I'm going to cook all of them. I'm going to cook them all. And I remember saying that. And we was only running. I think we only ran three on three. I remember us doing a 3-man weave. We played 3-on-3, and then that was it. They didn't even give us a fair shot. You know what I mean? So that was in 2008. That was back in 2008 when we did that. Beyond that, then, so after that, though, you get a lot of guys that come in that came into the University of Kentucky that weren't scholarship guys, but they were trying to make the team, right? A lot of guys were trying to make the team, or at least just get a look, or just wanting to be at University of Kentucky because of his basketball prowess. And so the rec scene at it was called the Johnson Center Recreational Center. The rec scene at the time, competition was elite. The competition in the gym was elite. I mean, you would get guys that transferred from Oak Hill. I remember a guy named Coastal Carolina. I don't know his real name. We used to call him Coastal Carolina because that's what college he went to. White guy. He was probably about 5'8", 5'9". the strongest forearms I've ever felt in my life. I tried to guard him one time. I think I had my hand on his hip, and he went to dribble and swipe down with his left arm and chop my arm. I never put my arm back in the cookie jar again. I'm telling you, man. So we got to play against a lot of competition. So beyond Coastal Carolina, when the basketball guys used to come in, so I had the chance to play against guys. You know, looking back on it, it was pretty cool. But in the moment, I didn't like none of those guys. I ain't gonna say I didn't like them, but it was like, I'm just trying to cook. I'm trying to expose you for the scholarship, this BS scholarship in my mind, right? Like you ain't like that. I know I got cousins that play like that, you know. And I got out there and I played against Ryan Harrow. Ryan Harrow was out there. The Harrison twins, Aaron and Andrew, came out there a lot. I never played against Eric Bledsoe, but DeMarcus Cousins I did. Josh Harrelson, Darius Miller, Terrence Jones, a lot of those guys, Stacey Poole. But there was one guy in particular that when he came in the gym, it was like time stopped. So if you go into the Johnson Center Recreational Center, right, there's 4 courts. There's 4 courts of basketball running, right? Well, when this guy came in, everybody stopped watching the basketball. Let me rephrase that. Everybody stopped playing basketball and came over to court 1 where he was playing at. Mind you, I'm playing, you know, I'm on court 1 as well. Court 1 and 2 in the Johnson Center were the best courts. Court 2 ended up being the stronger court towards the end of the year, but that's neither here nor there. But court 1 at this time was where we were playing at. And I'm 19. At this time, I'm 19 years old, and I'm in, you know, peak physical condition, peak athleticism. You know, John Wall walks in the gym. Again, I'm not really thinking nothing of it as far as this is a moment type of thing. I see him walk in, I'm like, oh, I'm about to cook, bro. I can't wait. I can't wait to get on the court. We get on the court, and when I tell you this dude was every bit of 6'4", and fast as lightning. I am playing the best defense I can. And it just felt like it didn't matter. He took one step, maybe one side dribble, crossover step this way. And it felt like I was there. But for some reason, the ball was just in the net. Get it out the rim. Every time down. So I say that to say this. John Wall is probably the only basketball player I would ever admit to being better than me. He is the only basketball player I will ever say, hey, man, bro is better than me. Bro is better. Because I couldn't guard him. I don't know what it was. It was like I wasn't even there. You thought he was just been playing basketball by himself, just playing a little solitary basketball, the way it would looked out there. I got a couple buckets, right? I came down, got a couple dunks, but they didn't matter. It didn't matter. They came to see John Wall. They weren't there to see me. They weren't there to see me, man. But anyway. But that's why I like the YouTube ballers and the ballers life, is because we played against a lot of great competition, and I wish we had a lot of that stuff on video, on tape recorded, so we could, you know, people could see all of this stuff. Because we had a lot of good guys that were football players. The UK football team used to come in there. You get Randall Burton in there, Greg Wilson, Morgan Newton, Josh Forrest, you know, Slime Dog, Anthony Kent, Gene McCaskill. Anthony Kendricks, you know, a lot of these guys, Bud Dupree, you will come in, you know, and these guys are huge, right? These guys, D1 football is real. These guys, the wide receivers was big, you know, and all these guys, but we all had basketball knowledge and good. It was just great basketball being played, man. So that's why I'm so into the YouTube scene, as to where the guys like Devontae Friga and Rob and those guys at the next chapter are playing, because I believe it. Like it may not be pro, but there's definitely some high level basketball going on out there. And if you ever get a chance, if you aren't familiar with the YouTube basketball scene, go to the next chapter and try to watch some of those guys. Really good basketball. The next chapter. They got guys like Rob, a guy named Cam, Mike Harden. Mike Harden is really good. He's probably my favorite guy out of all of them. They got a guy named Eli Carter, who is Kyrie Irving's one of his best friends or something like that. He had I think it's his best friend, or just a good friend of his. And his game is very similar to Kyrie's, but he's probably the best offensive scorer I've seen out of all of the guys. And then you go to guys like Frank Nitti. Frank Nitti is just certified Drew League. You know, he go to the Drew League and he is one of those. He's just one of those guys. And Nas and Scoob are more. I think Nas is playing ball his life now. Scoob is he kind of just goes wherever he wants. He kind of got. I think he has his own channel, man. But that's why I'm interested in YouTube ballers, man. So if you get a chance, go check out the next chapter and let me know what you think. All right. So, but anyway, moving on, going to these NBA power rankings. So there's a lot of teams. I looked up some of the lists that they have. I try to avoid watching ESPN and looking up the stuff because some stuff I just don't agree with. Like there's something to me to be said about the eye test. You know, watching the games and who cares about these PERs and these ETT ratings and all. I'm looking at all this stuff like I personally don't care about this these numbers or whatever this means. You know what I mean? Whatever this means to y'all, I don't know. But when I watch the game, this is how I felt when I watched the game. So some of the, again, my opinions will not line up with what you see on the ESPNs or the first, whatever sporting site that you use for reference. My opinions won't line up. I'm gonna go with first. I want to talk about 3 teams right now. I'm gonna try to spread this out over maybe like a couple weeks, just so we can make it to the NBA season with some better conversation. Maybe as the preseason happens, we can give a better evaluation because there's not a lot of basketball to go off of. So I'm kind of basing all of my opinions on this. It's based off of last season. It's based off the last season coming in into some of the additions that some of the guys have picked up, some of the teams have picked up rather, and some of the key people that they may have lost. So I wanted to start with the Minnesota Timberwolves. The reason I wanted to start with Minnesota Timberwolves because they picked up probably my favorite player coming out of the draft, Rob Dillingham, who went to the University of Kentucky. Rob Dillingham, if you've seen him play, electrifying guy, very fast, very explosive, very exciting. He's just an exciting player to watch. He gives me that Jamal Crawford, J.R. Smith type of energy. Like J.R. Smith when he was with the Nuggets, not J.R. Smith with the Cavs where he was like, hey, what a ball. And not that J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith with the Nuggets where he could go for 25, 30 points a game, and he was just exciting to watch. I like Rob. I want to see how he fits into the Minnesota scheme of things. Tom Thibodeau, I believe, is their coach. Very defensive-oriented coach, right? And Rob is more of a he's not a bad defender, but he's not like an on ball defender, right? He's not a stand in front of you and lock you up kind of defender. He's more of a play the passing lanes, gamble, try to pick your pocket type of defender. So I'm interested to see how they give him his playing time, being that they have with Mike Conley being their main point guard. I would like to see him. I just want to see how he fits in. I want to see how he fits in. And then they also picked up Terrence Shannon Jr. Now, Terrence Shannon Jr., if you're not familiar with him, he played for Illinois, and he is a certified bucket getter. He's a certified bucket. He has no flaws in his game offensively. He has no flaws in his game offensively, and he just gives a lot of effort on the defensive end. I ain't gonna say my only problem with him. I don't have a problem with him, but it's more so that he's 24 years old. He's an older rookie coming in playing behind Anthony Edwards, who is 23, right? You know, Anthony Edwards I think he got like 3 or 4 years in already. And Terry Shannon is entering his first year of the NBA as a rookie at 24. So I'm imagining his leash may be a little shorter than Rob Dillingham's would be, or any other players would be. And they just have a lot of guards. You know, I believe they still kept Jaden McDaniels. And they got Alexander that came out of Marquette. So there's a lot of guard play and potential like roster adjustments they can make. But I don't think you can play both Rob and Terrence Shannon, especially what you have in Anthony Edwards, right? Obviously, you can't play both of them. And they have kind of prided themselves on the defensive end as far as like how going deep into the playoffs, you know, with Naz Reid and they got Rudy Gobert, you know, with Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns in there. So they kind of moving towards being a defensive team. with these guys. So I just want to see how Terrence Shannon and Rob Dillingham fit into the mix. Outside of those two guys being added, they lost Kyle Anderson, which is, he's a big deal. Kyle Anderson he just does what you need him to do. Even with him moving in slow motion, he just kind of does what you need him to do out there. So he's definitely going to be a major loss for them. But not major enough to where I think it affects their ability to make a deep playoff run. I think. First off, Anthony Edwards to me is a top. I was gonna say top 5, but I don't know if he's top 5. I'm gonna give him top 10. I'm gonna give him top 10 for the sake of, because I don't think I got him top 5 in the NBA player, but he's definitely a top 10. He's definitely on his way to being a top 5 player in the NBA, and Karl Anthony Towns is still a solid big man. He's definitely a top 5 power forward in the league. Regardless of how people feel about him, he still can go out there and get you 25 and 10 on any given night. Rudy Gobert is like, every time I watch Rudy Gobert play basketball, it's like it's his first time ever playing basketball. It's like it's his first time ever, like, you know what? Today I think I'm gonna try basketball. And he goes out there and it's like he got like baby deer legs. Like his legs or something. Like his legs don't agree with his upper body. Like he got 2 separate thinking machines for his legs and for his upper body. I never understand Rudy. He just makes not basketball movements. You know what I mean? Like if you play basketball, you understand what I'm saying. There's certain things that you don't do when you play basketball, right? You ever been playing basketball, like let's say you're dribbling, you do a crossover and the guy stick his head in there. Like he sticks his head in to try to steal your ball and he bumps heads with you, like that type of stuff. Like you that's not a normal basketball motion. You play like a football player, right? Rudy Gobert plays like a lacrosse player. I don't know what Rudy Gobert is. I appreciate his defense, right? I appreciate his defense. He definitely controls the paint, controls the center, the center of the court. That's fine. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to catch a basketball and do a power dribble, right? I was going to say spin move, but the spin move sounded too complicated in my brain for him. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to catch the ball, power dribble, and get a dunk, right? There's no reason. But either way, Rudy Gobert definitely anchors their defense. I look to see them play probably Naz Reid and Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns probably needs to get a little stronger because I don't know. Well, they played. I don't know. What I was gonna say is Karl Anthony Towns doesn't fare well against Joker in those ISO matchups. He doesn't do well against Joker. So that's why they put Naz Reid on him. And Naz Reid did a lot better. Not a little bit. He did a lot better. He's just undersized, right? There's only so many stops you're going to get. Naz Reid, I believe, is 6'6". Joker's about 6'10", 6'11". It's just going to be times where he get over on you. So it would help if Karl Anthony Towns could guard that position, but I doubt they do that. So I think I'm going to have Minnesota pretty high. I think I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to do a top 10 for the NBA rankings. I'm probably going to have Minnesota in my top 5 by the end of all of this. But I do look for them to make another deep playoff run. But I'm like I said, I'm more interested in how they're going to play my guy Rob Dillingham. So moving on, let's talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now OKC, I really like OKC, man. They got a lot of pieces. I believe the Isaiah Hartenstein pickup was a bigger pickup than the Alex Caruso pickup. I think because the reason I say that, right? Caruso and Lou Dort kind of give you the exact same thing, right? I guess I'm assuming Alex Caruso, I think he's 30. I think he's a little older than Lou Dort, so maybe you get some veteran leadership there. But at the same time, as far as like putting him on the court, Lou Dort is just as good of a defender. He's just as good of a shooter. And he has more chemistry with the Oklahoma City Thunder than Alex Caruso does. I think Alex Caruso is definitely going to benefit them. I just don't know how you work him into the lineup, being that he's like 6'4", and he's not really he's not a point guard. He's more of a spot up shooter. You know what I mean? Like he has a weird position that I would just like to see how they play him. But Hartenstein, you throw him at the center and get Chet Holmgren out of the paint. Just from on the offensive end, where Chet Holmgren doesn't have to sit down there and post up or do, where he can play the wing and be that stretch for, I think that opens him up a lot. Because Chet to me looks way more comfortable out on the wing and maybe free throw line extended than he does in the post. On the defensive end, right, you can still throw Chet down there every now and again. But Isaiah Hartenstein being able to be the guy that has to guard the Karl Anthony Townses and the Jokers of the West, I think that benefits them a lot more than the Alex Caruso part. Now, as far as SGA, man, I mean, SGA is SGA. He's probably one of the most consistent bucket getters in the league. He top 2 and probably not 2. He 36-6. That's what he gets you every night. He's pretty consistent at that. I would like to see SGA be less on ball because the offense is stagnant with SGA. And that's kind of the gift and the curse of having a scoring point guard, right? It's the gift and the curse of having a scoring point guard because it's like a lot of the times you come down with the ball and you don't pass it. Right. A lot of times you come down with the ball, you're running a play and the play is for you. You swing it to the wing, you cut down the middle and you come back and get the ball. So it's kind of a gift and a curse in that sense to where your guys like Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren can get a little frustrated that they're not getting their shots. So I wouldn't mind seeing SGA play off ball a lot more this season. But that is given the fact that if Alex Caruso can actually run point guard. I don't think he can. Josh Giddey's handle isn't good enough in my opinion. He can pass it. He can pass it pretty well, but yeah. But anyway, I think now top 5. That's a good question. Who you guys have? Is SGA better than Ant Edwards right now? Who ranks higher? Is SGA higher ranking than Ant Edwards? Oh, I don't know. I say yeah. Now me personally, I'll take SGA over Ant. I'm just taking him just because I know what I'm gonna get out of him. Now Ant need to learn how to shut up because last year, he talked a lot and he started poking the bear, poking Kyrie Irving, and he learned that he wasn't in shape enough to play great defense on Kyrie Irving and also come back down and score 25. Well, he was walking up and down the court a lot. So I appreciate the talking, but you need to know. Well, I ain't gonna say you need to know when to cut it off because greater people like Kobe and Jordan they were able to do that. But until you get there, you might want to hold it down. Say good things. Play the other side of that role. Oh yeah, he's a great player. You need to talk like that. But I do like Ant Edwards' effort on defense over SGA's. I just think SGA is he's so precise when it comes to getting the bucket. I feel like everything is very intentional. Every time down the court, he wants to get to this spot. He gets to this spot. He shoots his shot. It don't feel like nothing is rushed. It never feels like he's off balance. It never feels like he's threatened. I ain't gonna say necessarily threatening, but like it doesn't feel like he has pressure from the defense, right? No matter how hard you play him, he's able to get the shot that he wants. So I'm gonna go SGA. But y'all let me know in the comments if you got SGA or Ant Edwards higher ranking in the top, let's say top 10, top 15, wherever you got him at, top 10, top 15, who ranks higher between SGA and Edwards? All right, moving on. Let's go. Next team I want to talk about. I hate to do this. I hate to be biased on back-to-back episodes, but the Philadelphia 76ers. And everybody know they picked up the great hope and what's my boy Paul George. Everybody loves Paul George. Oh, he is the bee's knees. I seen some of the young guys say Paul George was the best player of all time. The best player of all time, boy. I tell you, but this the youth. Yeah. So the Sixers, man, the Philadelphia 76ers. They pick up Paul George. I think they picked up Caleb Martin as well. Caleb Martin is kind of, I think that Heat season was kind of, I ain't gonna say his best. Yeah, it's probably the best we're gonna see out of Caleb Martin, though. It may not be his best season because he got, hopefully he have a longer career. But we probably seen the best version of Caleb Martin when we saw him over at with the Miami Heat. The Sixers, though, I love Tyrese Maxey's game. Tyrese Maxey, I've been watching some of his training videos. He's getting bigger. He's getting stronger. He's already super fast, and it seems that his role has started to open up tremendously for the Sixers. He's getting a lot more leeway. He's getting a lot more freedom to play his style of basketball, to push the pace, to take his 3-point shots, and just to be the best pro player he can be. He's blossoming. He's able to blossom in his situation currently with the Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid, probably one of the best big men we've seen in the NBA in a long time. Probably since Dwight Howard, him and Joker probably the best two big men we've seen since 2010, 2011, back when Dwight was in his prime. Joker, I look at Joker. I'm sorry, not Joker. Joel. I look for Joel to get better at taking over the ball game. That's it. Just at some point, you need to just, hey man, give me the ball. It's time to win. It's winning time, right? But I have no knocks on Joel outside of him just not being available. You know, you can be the best player in the NBA, but if you're only playing half of the time, I mean, you know what I mean? Who really cares? If we need you in the playoffs and you sitting out in 7-game series, you sit out 2 of the games. You know what I mean? Those games matter. It gets costly, man. But I think if the 76ers want to go further than the second round of the playoffs, Tyrese Maxey is going to be the driving force. Joel Embiid is going to do what Joel Embiid does. He's going to get you 30, 8 and 9 or whatever he gets. He's going to get you those buckets. What I don't want to see, and I pray for cheese and crackers, I don't want to see Paul George running the offense at any time. I'm talking about I don't want to see him. It's the second quarter and Paul George is on the court with the second unit. We playing through Paul George. Don't want to see it. If Paul George is on the court, Tyrese Maxey or Joel Embiid needs to be on the court. Granted, nobody's injured. Paul George does not need to be trying to run out. He's proven that he's not the guy. Matter of fact, I was watching Paul George's podcast one time. I was watching I can't remember, Playoff PP, whatever his name is, podcast is. He got on a podcast and he was describing a basketball situation. He said, see, now here I am. I'm having to stand on the wing and guard this man. The ball get kicked out over here and my big man has to rotate out to the wing. And now I rotate out down to the post. The guy shoots the ball. I fall, hit the ground. Then I got to come back down, get the ball, and go score. He's like, man, I'm already tired. I said, did he just describe a basketball sequence and say he was tired? He just described a simple basketball sequence and came down and said, hey, man, I'm tired. He's not the guy, man. I'm sorry. He is not the guy. I think if he is the third option, I don't want to see him no higher than the third option, then the Philadelphia 76ers can do their thing. To be honest, the way Jared McCain has been playing in this summer league, I might make Paul George the fourth option. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I told you I was biased. I might make Jared McCain painted nails and all. Yeah, man. Do the TikTok. Do the TikTok dance, man. Paul George. Put him at the 4, man. Get him on down there. Get him on down there, man. He's proven that he's not the guy, and he said he ain't the guy. All right? So my take with the 76ers is that I think they go as far and as deep in the playoffs as Tyrese Maxey wills them to go. You know what I mean? And I don't think he's far off. I don't think Maxey is far off from being the guy. It may be harder, having to play behind Joel, not necessarily behind him, but playing off of Joel as him being the main guy. But we can. I think this could be his year to fully blossom. Because I will say this about Paul George: he will be a great decoy. He'll be a better decoy than Tobias Harris. So he'll be a better opening up the floor as far as spacing for Tyrese Maxey to drive and do all the things that he need to do than Tobias Harris will be. So, because a lot of people respect Paul George's game. I just happen not to be one of them. But yeah, I think the 76ers. To be honest, I got them pretty. They are in my top 10 power rankings, but I think I might probably have them in the bottom half, and that maybe in the 7 to 10 range as far as their power ranking and how well. I don't expect much, man. I think I no longer trust the process. The only way I trust, if Joel Embiid can give me 70 plus games this year, then I'll start to trust the process. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. But it's hard to trust the process when you're not playing, man. So But anyway, yeah, I wanted to just cover those three teams right there. What's that? Minnesota, OKC, and then the Philadelphia 76ers for the power rankings. Next week, I try to do some more of those. But for right now let's move into this. Let's move into this 90s physical era versus this quote-unquote soft era that is now. Right? This soft era that is now. I'm a big fan of 90s basketball. The jerseys were some of the best parts of 90s basketball. I love the jerseys. I feel that the physicality of basketball has went away for this reason. Okay, this is my explanation that I tend to give people, right? The NBA has been in existence for however long, 75 years, whatever. Well, there has never been a time, let me rephrase that, not never. The NBA has slowly moved to picking up the best scores from every position to move up to the next level. So even starting at high school, right? Starting at the high school level, the guy who is averaging 25 points, 0 assists, 0 steals, right? He averages 20. He is more likely to get a D1 offer than the guy who is a lockdown defender on his team, right? So from high school to college, you get the best scorer on that team that goes to D1, to a D1 school, or, overseas, however they move up in the European leagues and stuff like that. Then next, you go from your college players to your NBA, right? The best scorers on the college teams move up from college to lottery picks and to becoming NBA prospects. The best defender on those teams usually isn't a lottery pick. Y'all let me know down in the comments. When was the last lottery pick that was a defender? That he was a known defender in college? The only person I can really think of that was a defender that wasn't maybe 7 foot tall, Anthony Davis. He's tall enough. But Anthony Davis and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, those are the only two guys that I can think of that were lottery picks and they weren't like offensive threats. At the time, anyway. Anthony Davis is now, but at the time he was more of a 14 and 10 kind of guy. Led the nation in blocks and stuff like that. So I say that to say, you get to a point where the NBA is drafting all of the best scorers across the world, across the globe. You're getting all the best scorers from every nation, from every city, from every state, from all of these places. And then you put them in the NBA and you say, well, why can't they play defense? Right? Now, again, even though some of these guys haven't played defense all their life, right? I'm also having to guard the most elite guys who know how to put the ball in the hole. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a catch-22 to draft all the best scorers and say, why can't nobody guard them? Well, because their best thing is scoring the ball. You know what I'm saying? So you do that over year, you get this type of offensive play style where it's not that I'm not playing defense. It's just that I can't guard this guy. You know what I mean? Like, take Darius Garland, for instance. Darius Garland is 6 foot even, 165. Who are you expecting to stand in front of him and lock him up? You know what I mean? Like, so to me, the whole physicality thing of it came from, this is the 90s now I'm talking about. The reason the 90s was so much physical is because they didn't have the same skill set on the offensive end. A lot of the players didn't have the same. I watched some of the 90s basketball, and I hate to talk about my guy, Dominique Wilkins. But Dominique Wilkins was playing against Scotty. He was playing against the Bulls. I went and watched him. He couldn't even dribble the ball with his left hand. He was coming down the left side of the court, dribbling with his right hand, and scored every time. And Dominique Wilkins averaged like 30 plus points a game. So to me, it's not actually a physicality standpoint. I think people are just more skilled than they were back then. People today are more skilled than they were back then. Now, I will say, in the 90s, I loved it that it was more physical, and I love that they didn't look for fouls. I hate that about today's game as to where people are happy to draw fouls. Like a lot of the times, the Kevin Durant's, James Harden, Steph LeBron, all these guys are looking to draw fouls. They're not looking to score. Like even Luka Doncic, if you watch that NBA Finals, it was a few times against the Celtics where he had a shot. He could have made the shot. He could have got 2 points on the board, but instead of just going up and shooting the ball, he would pump fake and jump back into the guy. And the Celtics knew that he was doing that type of stuff, and they just started backing off of him. So instead of just shooting the ball and getting the 2 points, he's flopping and throwing his arms up in the air and costing his team points. So to that extent, I do agree that the 90s were more physical, period. But I think they were more physical because the skill level wasn't there. So when you had a guy that you couldn't guard, oh yeah, well, you come in here with that fly stuff, I'm gonna just smack you in the face. And nobody plays like that now. Nobody does that because it's like, hey man, I understand if I can't block your shot, I need to move out of the way. I don't want to injure you. I don't want to ruin your livelihood because I'm not skilled enough to contest this shot. You get what I'm saying? So I think that's partly why. Now the greatest era to me in basketball was definitely that 2000s to 2010 stretch. That 2010 stretch where you had great guard play. You remember the point guards used to average 10 assists and that was like normal. You remember when point guards used to just like 10 assists was kind of like the first 5 to 8 point guards all averaged 10 assists. That was just the norm. So when guys like Jason Kidd and Steve Nash and all these guys were, I think Rondo was in there as well. They just facilitate, right? They're not even looking to score a lot of the times. And that's when the pick and roll was at its best, back when you had that Steve Nash to Amari, that Jason Kidd to Kenyon Martin. Those connections was great. So the point guard play was great. The shooting guard play was phenomenal. We talking about Kobe, Tracy McGrady. Who else we got? Vince Carter was out there. Was Brandon Roy? I don't know. I think Brandon Roy might have came a little later. He was later than that. But your shooting guard play is great. Oh, Allen Iverson. Come on, man. You can't forget Bubba Chuck. Allen Iverson was out there. The shooting guard play was great. The big man play. This is literally the power forward era where you got Tim Duncan, KG, Dirk, Rasheed Wallace. Zebo was coming of his own. He wasn't there yet. But Pau Gasol was cold. So to me, the greatest era of basketball was 2000, maybe that 2000 to 2010, when arguably, to me, the best playoff series that ever happened being that 2009 Western Conference Finals between Carmelo, the Nuggets and the Lakers, Carmelo versus Kobe. Man, that stuff was captivating. I just love that Kobe versus Melo game. That I was locked in every day, and especially with the powder blue jerseys. They went platinum in the hood. Love that, man. So to me, I think the greatest era of basketball was 2000 to 2010, man. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna wrap this one up. We're gonna wrap this up, man. I feel like I done talked way more than I was planning on doing, man. We started a podcast, Baron Davis versus Deron Williams, man. Hopefully you got your pick. For me, I got Deron Williams. Oh, I forget. Deron Williams and Baron Davis was in that, that 2000, 2010. Come on, man. That was great basketball back then, man. And, but yeah, I got Deron Williams. The crossover, man, that deadly crossover, that tween cross D-Will had. What happened to D-Will? How did he fall off? He didn't get an injury or nothing. He just suddenly just was like not relevant. He went from him versus Chris Paul to him just not even being a factor no more, man. What happened to Deron Williams, man? But I at the time, Deron Williams was my favorite player. So I probably should have went with a different question for the day, because I'm definitely biased. I definitely biased towards Deron Williams. But I got Deron Williams over Baron Davis, man. So yeah, so if you can, man, y'all tune in next week, man, and we'll go through the rest of the power rankings, and I have some more fresh topics for you guys. I just want to shout out Royal Smokes down in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Is at 2716 Dawson Avenue. Nice little smoke shop down in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And shout out to my sister's company, Designed by Silvers. She does your logos and stuff, and hopefully she will get me my new logo for E-Lab by the time we do our next episode. So y'all have a good rest of your week, man, and I'll see you guys then.